Maharaj, are you sitting here, Maharaj?
Yeah.
So, where should we place the deities?
Maybe on that one. Not out of the sun. Probably on that one where it's...
Okay, we have a separate table, so probably you can...
We have separate table.
Yeah, maybe here.
Yeah, right here.
Okay. Okay. Separate the camera now. And just focus on whatever's happening. Can't move a long distance. Jai Jagannatha.
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Yeah, move it more this way, you can see the deities more.
Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jagannatha, Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Jagannath Swami ki jai, Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Bo.
Jai Jagannath.
Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra arrived in Nilachal.
Yes.
It was like, it looks like Vrindavan with all these trees.
Okay, we can start.
So, where, you want to listen?
I got it.
Get out.
Put this on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it like? Like a short class?
Oh, yeah. Whatever, yeah, first.
Take minute.
Prabhu, you can,
1 minute.
okay, we can have more kirtan. We'll have a quick aarti, just few minutes.
Hare Krishna.
Would you like to sing? Jayo
Jai Jagannatha Swami ki
Jai
jai.
Jagannath.
Okay.
Should I sit here?
Yeah. See, I'm gonna.
Where are you sitting?
It's better for you to sit over there.
So Hare Krishna everyone. So now we have known as Great Krishna Goswami Maharaj giving a class on the glories of Lord Jagannath. So we are bringing some extra chairs, so you can space yourself. You can use the picnic benches, but please space yourself. We have more chairs. They are here. Some are here. You can use them. So we are bringing some.
Let's go. And you sit there.
Okay.
And you get me and the others. Yeah. That's good. Okay. It's nice to see everybody. Whoops, let me put my microphone on. Before I forget. Nice to see everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Actually, just hold this here. That's better. So can everybody hear me? Okay. So today we are celebrating Rath Yatra, and also we're asking everyone here to pray for the quick recovery of Bhakti Chur Maharaj, who is now in intensive care in Florida. And I was speaking to some devotees about him and then the virus in general today. And this devotee is an older Prabhupada disciple, not one of the GBC, used to be GBC, and he was saying that we just have to take care that all the leaders of the Krishna conscious movement just take special care. They have a special responsibility to stay on this planet as long as possible to establish, well, properly establish the Siddhanta and the application of the Siddhanta in Srila Prabhupada's movement. So each and every, well, leader in each and every devotee, and of course we are referring to the Prabhupada disciples, but actually each and every devotee is valuable. And so we have to take special care of the devotees. You know, if any devotee gets sick, and especially in this case, His Holiness Bhakti Chur Maharaj is, you know, very, very close to Srila Prabhupada and very close to all of us. The devotee I was speaking to today said he couldn't imagine the movement without Bhakti Chur Maharaj. So that was probably the most, let's say, emotional thing I've heard about the whole situation today. And it really struck me, and this whole situation has actually made me very thoughtful, not only about my dear godbrother Bhakti Chur Maharaj, but about how we have to be very careful about this present situation and all different situations, dangerous situations in the material world. We don't take it seriously enough. I mean, I know some devotees I was speaking to in India are just saying, well, it's just some sort of conspiracy for people to make money, you know, the coronavirus or something like that. And it's not. It's actually quite a serious disease. It's not just the flu. It's quite a serious disease, and I just get nervous, as Aditya Narayan Prabhu knows, when I hear about devotees going out, and it just makes me, very nervous, because I'm very protective of the devotees, and particularly I'm concerned about some of the older devotees we have here. Not me, because I'm not older, but I'm still in my 20s, but no, I'm in rather good health. And I did go through a bout of the virus before, but I did certain things that would prevent any extreme repercussions from the virus. And, you know, if anyone's interested, I can give them advice later on about it. But there's certain things you can do to mitigate if you ever get the virus. But it's better not to get the virus because it's extremely dangerous, and we want to see everyone around here, and particularly want to see devotees like Bhakti Chula Maharaj. And it's very painful to see our godbrothers pass away. I've been through this, through passing away of godbrothers before. My dear friends, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj passed away, and I remember the last time I saw him, of course, he passed away due to cancer. And the last time I saw him, I wanted to give him a hug, and he said, "No, don't do that." It wasn't because of the virus, obviously. He said, if you touch me, my chest bones will break. I mean, that's how much the cancer had actually eaten away. So it's very traumatic to lose family members, and, in our position, at least my position, or as a member of the Krishna consciousness movement, we have so many family members. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj passed away, and that was very traumatic. I had to rush and spend a lot of time in Fiji consoling the devotees. So it's a very difficult time when you see devotees getting sick, particularly, dear devotees like Bhakti Chula Maharaj. So we just want to dedicate today's program. Of course, it's a Rath Yatra program. We want to dedicate it to Bhakti Chula Maharaj and his quick recovery. And we want everyone to pray in that regard. Also, getting back to Rath Yatra, it's interesting thing is they may not have Rath Yatra tomorrow in Jagannatha Puri, because the Supreme Court in India has actually ordered them not to have Rath Yatra, and they're putting in some sort of plea that they can have Rath Yatra just with the Pandits. I don't know if some of you read this. But if they don't have Rath Yatra, there's some ritual so they can't have it for 11 years. They don't have it 1 year. So hopefully they can at least do some sort of Rath Yatra and keep the people away if that's at all possible in Jagannatha Puri. So now we will talk about Lord Jagannatha and Rath Yatra, and first we'll chant Jai Jagannath. Yeah?
Can everyone hear?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I'm loud enough. I can get louder.
Oh.
I'm perfectly capable of getting loud without a microphone.
Oh.
So, let's chant Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannatha, Jai Jagannatha, Jai Jagannatha, Jai Jagannatha.
Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Jaya Baladev. Jagannatha-sami, Nayana-patagami, Nayana-patagami, avatu me.
Jagannatha-swami, Nayana-patagami, Nayana-patagami, avatu me.
Jagannatha-sami, Nayana-patagami, Nayana-patagami, avatu me.
Jagannatha-swami, Nayana-patagami, Nayana-patagami, avatu me.
Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath,
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha.
Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath.
Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha.
Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra.
Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Baladev, Jaya Subhadra.
Jagannatha Swami Yanapatagami, Ayunapatagami, Advaktame. Jagannatha Swami Yanapatagami, Nayanapatagami Bhavatame. Jai Jagannath, Jagannatha Swami ki Jai. So, Om Ganah. Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I offer my humble obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who has so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So, by the mercy of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, we're able to speak a few words about Lord Jagannath. So first I want to talk about why Lord Jagannath looks like he does. And it's a very interesting story. It was actually told by my godbrother Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And actually I was with Gaur Govinda Maharaj when he passed away from this world. And, he was remembering Lord Jagannath and the mood of the separation that the gopis felt when Krishna left Vrindavan. So that was his final words, and he just breathed out, and his soul went back to home, back to Godhead. So, very interesting story. It's not the standard story you've heard about the half-finished deities, which is a true story with King Indradyumna. But that's just exoteric. Exoteric means something that generally people understand. Now, there's a esoteric reason why Lord Jagannath looks like that. Why Lord Jagannath arranged for the deities to be half-finished, so that Lord Jagannath would look exactly like he looks now, with the big eyes, Subhadra with the big eyes, and Baladev with the big eyes. So, the story goes as follows. When Krishna and Balaram were living in Dwarka, there was a lot of talk about what Krishna's pastimes were like when he was in Vrindavan, because the wise really didn't know too much about the pastimes of Vrindavan. But also they used to hear nightly Krishna chanting the names of the gopis. And for some of them, like Satyabhama, that was quite upsetting. It would be like a husband chanting the names of his girlfriends when he was lying there with his wife. Like if, someone who's married to Peggy Sue and who was chanting the name of, Radharani or something like that. Anyway, his wife, especially Satyabhama, was completely upset by this apparent disloyalty. So, the wives asked or wanted to find out what Krishna's pastimes were like in Vrindavan. And they didn't want to ask Krishna directly. There's a reason for that. Because they understood if they asked Krishna directly, Krishna would faint in ecstasy or even want to go back to Vrindavan. So what they did is they went to Balaram's mother. And they went to Balaram's mother and they asked her, what was Krishna's pastimes and Balaram's pastimes like in Vrindavan? Because she was there. She's also wife of Vasudeva. And so she was there in Vrindavan and also in Dwarka. And so they went and they said, what were Krishna's pastimes like in Vrindavan? And she said, I will tell you, but I want to make sure that nobody hears these pastimes, especially Krishna, Balaram, and Subhadra. And so they said, okay, but who's going to guard the door? And they said, well, Subhadra can guard the door. So Subhadra was posted at the door. And she was making sure that nobody could hear. But she was also told that she should not listen. Now, when you tell someone, don't listen, or also keep a secret, same thing, then they definitely want to listen. You know, this is a secret, I can't tell anybody. And so she put her ear to the door. And when she put her ear to the door, she heard these amazing pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, especially the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. And when that happened, her body was transformed. Now remember that Subhadra, Balaram, Krishna, and all of Krishna's expansions and internal expansions in their potencies, of course the original internal potency of the Lord is Srimati Radharani, the Adi Shakti of the Lord. And all the other Shaktis are expansions of the Adi Shakti. So when she heard it, her whole body changed, and her arms shrunk up into her body, as you see there. And her eyes opened wide. And she remained there stunned, unblinking. And so she was just standing there at the door, simply appreciating the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. And of course this is called Sanchari Bhav, or Yabachari Bhav, where a devotee experiences some ecstasy that takes over their whole mind, body, and existence, and they can't even predict that that ecstasy is going to happen. There's 33 of those different types of Sanchari Bhavs. So she remains stunned there. And remember, I explained she has a spiritual body. So that spiritual body manifests the mood. It is not that she changes her body, it's not that she lost her arms or anything like that. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in ecstasy, his arms would sometimes go into his body and sometimes they would go out, like several cubits out. And then sometimes go back in when there was the chanting of the Lord's holy names. So she manifested that form. And then Balaram came and saw her sister, and he thought, oh my God. And he listened, and the same thing happened to him. And then Krishna came, and he listened, the same thing happened to him. So that's one esoteric story about why Lord Jagannatha looks like he does. Now we're going to talk about the Rath Yatra, and I have my notes here. The Rath Yatra is composed of several different steps. It's actually a procedure composed of 13 steps. And today is the actual celebration of the first step, which is called Snana Yatra. Snana Yatra means the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannatha. So in many temples around the world, they have Snana Yatra. Actually, Snana Yatra. Essentially, Snana Yatra. And tomorrow is supposed to be Rath Yatra. It's listed on the calendar today as Snana Yatra. It's actually supposed to be 14 days before. Yeah. Then the calendar somehow that says Snana Yatra. All right, it's wrong. It's actually wrong. So it's 14 days before the actual day of the Rath Yatra. Tomorrow is the actual day of the Rath Yatra. So 14 days before the Rath Yatra, Lord Jagannatha is given a bath. And after he's given a bath, he apparently gets sick. Actually, he doesn't get sick. But there are several reasons why he makes believe that he gets sick. One reason is that he basically wants to be alone with his wife. He wants some QT. You know what QT is? No? Quality time with his wife. Another reason, he wants to evoke the mood of separation of his devotees. What do they say? Separation makes the heart grow fonder. So he wants to have the devotees appreciate more and more his presence. And we see when Lord Chaitanya was present over 500 years ago, he actually left the main city of Puri during this time of Anavasara, which is actually the time of Lord Jagannatha's recovery, or Lord Jagannatha's being taken off the altar and not being accessible to the devotees. So he didn't really get sick. But the devotees still are sending him get well cards. I remember in many temples around the world where they have installed Jagannath deities, they would not only send get well cards to Lord Jagannatha, put them on the altar, but they would make herbal teas. Good herbal teas, not CBD or anything. But none of you know what CBD is. They would make good herbal teas, and they certainly would put onion and garlic in the tea. So anyway, so they would make herbal teas, and they would pray every day, Lord Jagannath, get better, get better, get better. But Lord Jagannath was just making an act so that he could be alone with his wife and have some QT, quality time and peaceful time. And you find this often with people when they want to get away from their ordinary dealings, they'll make believe that they're sick. It's not extraordinary that someone does that. When I was young, I would sometimes take a thermometer and put it on the radiator. In those days we had radiators in the house. Until it read Fahrenheit like 108 degrees. And my mother got very worried. And I said, I'm all right. Don't take me to the emergency room, just don't take me to school. So, I was following in the footsteps of Lord Jagannatha. So, anyway, during that time, Lord Jagannath is with his wife. Okay, that's nice, romantic, everything like that. But when he's with his wife, the goddess of fortune, he actually starts to remember his girlfriend. Quite dangerous. So his girlfriend, or girlfriends, are the gopis in Vrindavan, especially Srimati Radharani. But his wives in Dwarka, they are actually expansions of his girlfriends. So they remind him of his girlfriends. For example, in the Lalita Madhava, this is brought out very, very clearly. When you have Krishna crying out for his girlfriends in his sleep, which I mentioned previously, but also his girlfriends in Vrindavan directly manifesting as his queens. For example, here, this is in Rupa Goswami's play, Lalita Madhava. If you're interested in hearing this, it's on ISKCON Desire Tree. I've recorded it, and it's done very nicely with musical accompaniment. Champaka Lata has done it. So, anyway, you actually find that Radharani, just to tell a long story, but in a short way, that Radharani actually, when she leaves, Krishna leaves Vrindavan, she commits suicide, goes to the sun planet. The sun planet, or the sun god, Vivaswan, gives her to Satyajit, his worshipper, as his daughter, Satyajit's daughter, and then Satyajit gives his daughter to Krishna eventually during that whole escapade. So anyway, so this shows that the wives of Krishna in Dwarka are actually expansions of the gopis in Vrindavan. So Krishna begins to miss Radharani and the gopis in Vrindavan, and he starts to think, how can he get away from his wife and go to visit his girlfriends? Little racy story. So he's thinking like that. And so, in the meantime, the residents of Vrindavan know that Krishna's going to do that. And so they want to prepare and make everything nice for him. So what represents Vrindavan in the area of Jagannath Puri is the Gundicha temple. That represents Vrindavan. So the devotees, they clean the temple because they know Krishna is coming very, very soon. And this is called the Gundicha Marjana, which means the cleansing of the Gundicha temple. So they're cleaning the temple, and when Lord Chaitanya was there with his associates, they would clean the temple so thoroughly, they would throw buckets of water, and it would wash like a river all the dust outside. And Lord Chaitanya's associates would have competitions who could collect the most dust. And the person who collected the least dust, he was basically chastised in a very sarcastic way by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, hope that doesn't get too hot sitting in the sun. Let's move a little bit. Maybe someone can cover the computer with a cloth or something like that. Anyway, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates, they would cleanse the temple, getting ready for Lord Jagannath. Okay.
Kind of stiff.
Not the whole thing. All right, just that. Yeah, that's good. They would cleanse the temple, getting ready for Lord Jagannath, and then Lord Jagannath, in this ceremony called the Pandu Vijaya, took permission from the goddess of fortune Lakshmi to go for a walk. He said, "I'll be right back," or as they say in India, "just now coming." So Lord Jagannath was very much, let's say, into Indian Standard Time. As you know, everybody is late as a regular daily function. So just like everyone's late here today. So Lord Jagannath was telling his wife that I'll be back, and he just gives an excuse. I'm just going for some fresh air, you know. I gotta get out of here for a few minutes. And so he goes out, and as he's leaving, they offer him some food that's called the Balagandhi Vitrasana, in which food is offered to him. And of course, at this particular juncture, the people in general can see Lord Jagannath. Nowadays, and also as the tradition goes, people who were not Hindus or born in Hindu families or even residing in India were not allowed to directly go into the temple and see Lord Jagannath, except on Rath Yatra Day, when they are actually allowed to see Lord Jagannath and even sometimes climb on the cart. So, then, to prepare the way, now this is actually, it's a misunderstanding that many devotees have about King Prataparudra sweeping the road. He swept the road not for the carts, but he swept the road when Lord Jagannath was coming out of the temple. Because Lord Jagannath was coming out of the temple basically bouncing on these cotton pads, which were called tulis. And the devotees, I forget the village that they came from, but they had these silken ropes. Kulinagram, that's right. Kulinagram, they had these silken ropes in which they were holding Lord Jagannath, and he was bouncing from one cotton pad to another, and these cotton pads would sometimes explode. In other words, which Lord Jagannath was so heavy. And if anyone's seen Rath Yatra, they've seen that they have to rock Lord Jagannath from side to side because he is so heavy. So he's rocking side to side. And even before Lord Jagannath comes out, they have all these entertainers that precede him. That means jugglers, fire eaters. I mean, it's quite interesting. And because it's very hot, just like it is today, the people come out with the hoses. The police sometimes will hose everybody down to avoid people dying. So Lord Jagannath comes out, and King Prataparudra is sweeping in front of the path of Lord Jagannath, not in front of the path of the cart. See, that's most devotees don't understand that. They think he's sweeping in front of the cart. He's sweeping in front of the path of Lord Jagannath. Because Lord Jagannath is bouncing basically on cotton pads on the road. And so they're cleaning the road in front. So anyway, so King Prataparudra being very humble and being the king. And that's how we won Lord Chaitanya's mercy, showing his vast humility. And then Lord Jagannath gets on the cart. And he and his sister, of course, they get on separate carts, and his brother, separate carts. And they're pulled by the devotees to the Gundicha temple. And when they are on the way to the Gundicha temple, they actually stop at different times. There are many different pastimes in which Lord Jagannath's cart and the cart of Subhadra and Baladev refuse to move for a variety of purposes. One time was during Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually had to personally push the cart with his head. Because, why is that? Because Lord Jagannath is actually Krishna feeling separation from the gopis, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of the gopis feeling separation from Lord Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya is dancing in front of Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, of course. He had 7 different dancing parties, and each dancing party had singers and drum players and everything like that. So Lord Chaitanya pushed the cart, and finally the cart gets to the Gundicha temple, which represents Vrindavan. When he gets to Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya changes his whole mood. Because when he is in Jagannath Puri represents Dwarka, then everything is very much in the mood of awe and reverence. So Lord Chaitanya is very serious in Jagannath Puri. But when he gets to Vrindavan, he becomes like a child. And some of the instances of his becoming like a child are as follows. He has pastimes in the Indradunya lake. And in this Indradunya lake, he plays cymbals and he makes believe, he and his followers make believe they're like frogs, croaking at each other. Also in this lake, Advaita Charya and Lord Nityananda, they start fighting with each other like children, splashing each other. And Advaita Charya curses Lord Nityananda, not with 4-letter words or anything like that, but he just like calls him different names. And even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls for Advaita Charya to take the part of Ananta Shesh and to support Lord Chaitanya, who is actually floating around in this Indradunya lake with Lord Chaitanya. Also, they sported in the Narendra Sarovar and had so many different playful pastimes. Really enjoyed themselves like coward boys at that particular point. Generally in Jagannath Puri, that wasn't the case. Everything was very, very, very serious. Just like you see in the Lord's pastimes, when Krishna is in Dwarka, it's quite a serious thing. I mean, once in a while there's a little joking, like when Krishna joked with Rukmini. He said to Rukmini that when she and he were quite old, of course Krishna never looked old, and she never looked old, he said to her that, why did you get married to me? You married the wrong person. You should have married Shishupal. You still have time to get married to someone else, basically. I'm paraphrasing what Krishna said in the 10th canto. And she fainted. So that was one instance of joking, and otherwise it was quite serious. When Satyabhama got envious of the gopis, Krishna didn't just joke with her. He just told her, he said, I don't love you. A very serious guy. He said, I don't love you. He said, the only reason I married you is because basically I was planning to be a brahmachari, and then I got that note from Rukmini. And then after that, you all remind me of my girlfriends. And that's why I married you. But actually, that's who I really love. So Krishna is quite serious and chastising in Dwarka, but in Vrindavan he's quite playful. So for 5 days they were doing this. Then Lakshmi starts to get a little upset. You know, her husband's gone away, says he's coming right back, and he hasn't come back. And she gets news he's actually gone to Vrindavan to be with his friends there. So she sends her associates, she goes with her associates there, to attack the associates of Lord Jagannath. So she goes in a palatial carriage, and all of Lord Chaitanya's associates about 500 years ago, over 500 years ago, dressed up like the associates of Lakshmi Devi. And so they come, and they have this fight between those who are associates of Lord Jagannath and those who are associates of Lakshmi Devi. They're playing different parts, it's like a play. and there's musicians there. And so the associates of Lakshmi actually beat up and arrest the associates of Lord Jagannath. And they joke. And they show so much anger towards Lord Jagannath and the associates, jealous anger. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees this, he actually says, this anger of the goddess of fortune is unique. And he describes 3 types of jealous women. So those of you who are married can try to understand what type you're married to. So he said there are 3 types of jealous women. One type is sober, very serious, doesn't say anything about, just like keeps it within herself. Other type is restless, and that restless means she gets angry and screams and gives you a really hard time. Actually, that's easier to deal with than someone who doesn't reveal their mind, isn't it? Better to have someone who screams. And then the third type is mixed. Mixed means very sarcastic jokes. I know you love me. Like that. So that's I know. Just really sarcastic. So they keep beating the cart and the servitors of Lord Jagannath. And so this goes on the 5th day, but then still Lord Jagannath doesn't come back. So he waits 4 more days. And on the 9th day, he feels a little worried about his wife. And then he goes back and assumes his normal duties there. So the purport of this particular story is that when one participates in the Rath Yatra ceremony, pulling Lord Jagannath's cart, or as we had here, devotees carrying Lord Jagannatha, and they were actually dancing with Lord Jagannath, which is quite interesting. You didn't see that, Mother Krishna, but there were devotees that came out. That's all right, Lord Jagannath was dancing when he was going on his cart. So the devotees who were doing that, participating in this Rath Yatra festival, are actually taking the mood of the assistants of the gopis. So anyone who partakes of this festival is actually doing the highest service and will eventually go back to Goloka Vrindavan to be with Krishna eternally. And this was Prabhupada's favorite festival. Srila Prabhupada, when he was young, he would be dreaming of taking a train to Jagannath Puri. And eventually, I guess when he finished with the university, he did go to Jagannath Puri. He did have a little bit of a shock because he stayed with some uncle there, and the uncle tried to feed him meat in Jagannath Puri. Do you remember that story? It's very interesting. And he looked at, because Prabhupada had never eaten meat. Prabhupada said, I was listening to a class of Prabhupada the other day, Prabhupada said, he said, even though I had so many opportunities, offerings for sinful life, Prabhupada was never attracted, then I never took any of them. He said, never in my life have I eaten meat or had illicit sex or intoxication or gambling. Even when Prabhupada was a little child and he had cholera, his doctor, Dr. Bosch, wanted to feed him some chicken soup. I guess Dr. Bosch was Jewish. So, who knows what religion he was. So he wanted to feed Prabhupada, little Prabhupada by some chicken soup, and he brought it close to Prabhupada's mouth, and Prabhupada, bah! Even before it came within an inch of Prabhupada's mouth. Bah! And then, that's good. That was an ecstatic symptom. You get this nonsense out of here. So Prabhupada, even when he was offered that, he said, that's me. And the uncle said, yes, this is the best thing for us. So there's a lot of perversion in the name of religion or even in the Holy Land of India. The people think even nowadays the meat eating is increasing. But Lord Jagannath certainly only eats vegetarian food, and he eats like 52 or 54 times a day. It was actually Bhaktivinoda Thakur who arranged for Lord Jagannath to have opulent offerings of 52 or 54 times a day, Because once upon a time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose disappearance day was on Saturday, then he discovered that the king of Jagannath Puri was taking from the hundi. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur caught him, and he fined the king, and he said that you have to pay for all the offerings of Lord Jagannath. And the king got so upset that he did a sacrifice with 50 brahmanas to kill Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and the sacrifice went on for 1 month. And then after that 1 month, the king's oldest son passed away. So Lord Jagannath is offered food all the time because, one reason he's offered food all the time is because King Indradyumna, when he installed Lord Jagannath, he asked Lord Jagannath for a blessing. And the blessing was that Lord Jagannath's hands would never be dry. He'd be eating all the time. Another blessing he asked for was that he would have no children, which is really interesting. Why would someone ask for no children? Because kings usually want to have a lot of children. The reason he asked for no children is because generally, if someone is in charge of a temple and they have children, the children take possession of that temple afterwards, which is very bad. Because the temple doesn't belong to the manager, it belongs to Krishna. And so we see that that has happened in Vrindavan. Many of these original Goswami temples were passed down from father to son in a Goswami family. And in many cases, the assets of the temples were actually misused or sold off for the aggrandizement of the family. So King Indradyumna prayed like that, and he also prayed that Lord Jagannath's temple would only be closed for like 3 hours a night, that people could see him. So today we are celebrating this Rath Yatra, and unfortunately we can't go out in the street and do it, but this is, in one sense, the same. We are getting the mercy of Lord Jagannath, and next year, hopefully, Lord Jagannath will give us a vaccine. Actually, we were talking the other day in one of our classes of how we have been given the vaccine of Krishna consciousness. That's the chanting of the Lord's holy names, sadhana process, and that protects us against the virus of Maya. Actually, I used 2 different metaphors. I said we have a vaccine and we have PPE, personal protective stuff. What is the personal protective stuff? We eat prasadam. We're very careful about our association, the satsangachara, the vaishnavachara. We understand the whole material world is infectious. As Krishna says in the Gita, karnam guna sangasha sarasa janma jonishu, that the reason we're entangled is because of guna sangha, association with the modes of nature. So when we associate with something outside of Krishna consciousness, outside of our service to Krishna, in those cases Krishna protects us, then we're actually associating with the modes of nature. Our consciousness becomes covered. So just like you're all wearing masks, except for me, because I'm transcendental. No. Because I already had the virus. No, because I have to speak. And if I tried to speak with a mask on, I wouldn't be able to do it. So just like you're all wearing a mask to protect yourselves, so we have to wear the mask of always chanting Krishna's name. I mentioned the other day when I was with Prabhupada, even during interviews and other people were speaking, Prabhupada was softly chanting Krishna's name. And of course Prabhupada had no tendency, or there was no possibility of Prabhupada succumbing to the modes of nature. However, Prabhupada was showing us by example, we always have to have Krishna's name playing in our mind at least, if not on our lips. And that will protect us from Krishna's illusory energy. So, any questions or comments? It's nice to see somebody. Yes, Adityanarayan Prabhu.
Maharaj, I always had this question that we know that Rath Yatra is from Dwarka to Vrindavan. Right?
Yes.
So, do Gaudiya Vaishnavas take part in the backward? Because that seems like against our they're taking Krishna.
Well, they do, but they're not too happy about it. That's kind of funny. Yeah, obviously, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas take part in the return yatra. Although it's not as crowded, the return yatra is not as crowded, and it's something that they're not real happy about. But still they take part. I mean, Lord Chaitanya's associates certainly took part in the return yatra. So Lord Jagannath is the deity of Vipralamba, the deity of intense separation from Krishna in Vrindavan and from the residents in Vrindavan. So when we see Lord Jagannath, he is beckoning for us to come join him in Vrindavan. And when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would see Lord Jagannath in the temple, he would see Krishna playing a flute. And the first time Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Lord Jagannath, he fainted. Another Vipralamba, not Vipralamba, Sanchari Baba, he fainted, and many people thought he had left his body. They took Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya with a piece of cotton under Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's nose to ascertain that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still with us in this world. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the final portion of his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, and he entered into the Tota Gopinath temple, Tota Gopinath deity of Gadadhar Pandit Goswami. So, any other questions? No? Yes?
The Tota Gopinath deity is in Puri?
In Puri, in Jagannath Puri. It's right. It's not too far away from the main temple of Lord Jagannath. When I was there, I would go there every morning we would go there. We had a group. Where's Sadhvi? Is she here? Remember? Sadhvi was with us one time we were in Jagannath Puri. We went there. And when we were there, didn't Bhakti Churmaharaj join us one morning there?
I believe so.
Yeah, he joined us one morning in Jagannath Puri. As we were coming out of the temple, we met him. And so generally in Jagannath Puri, I would stay in this place called the Birla Guest House, which is a private guest house on a private beach. And we'd go swimming. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates would swim every day in the ocean in Jagannath Puri. So any other questions?
I don't think, like, the hill where the Tota Gopinath temple is, like, considered like the Govardhan of...
Yeah, there's a sand dune right near there. It looks just like Govardhan. Ayatota, it's called. And Lord Chaitanya, when he saw that, he ran towards it, thinking it was Govardhan Hill. It's right in that same area. Okay. I think I'm getting cooked out here. And I'm not prasadam, so. At least there's plenty of sun for the camera. Okay. I guess that's it. So now there's prasadam, there's takeaway prasadam, right? Do you have any announcements you want to make?
Yes, Maharaj. So we just have 3 devotees who would like to take Jagannath back to, as Maharaj said, the return yatra. They will take Jagannath back to the
Dwarka.
temple. Dwarka.
We're Vrindavan now.
And also, like, prasadam, we want to serve it in a different way. Those who want to-go boxes, we have to-go boxes. Otherwise, we don't want everyone to just crowd near the table. We have plates ready. We'll come and bring it to you. So you can just be seated where you are and bring the plates to you, so that we don't have like all people together at the same time.
Can they eat out here or?
Yeah, if you prefer to eat out here, that's fine. Just maintain your distance. How you're sitting with the distance, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Jagannath, Jagannatha Swami ki jai.